All right. Good evening to those of you on the East Coast. Good evening also to those of you on the West Coast. Welcome to Targaryen Collective Codex, a House of the Dragon live watch for season 3, episode 3. Excuse me. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And of course, I'm not going to be alone in talking about what is going on in today's episode. So let me welcome Spills. What's going on, Spills? Welcome back. I'm going to get us started here. I know we're going to likely go through a recap of what we had in the prior episode of Rhaenyra making her way to King's Landing, and now in the aftermath of her now being there. So, but I do plan on going through the recap in addition to watching the episode. So I will warn you guys, about that. So just so you guys are aware, and if you guys are timing things, for those of you that are joining us, timing things with our watch of the show. So let's see here. And also, welcome back, Spills. We didn't have Spills with us last week. I know he was under the weather, so glad to have you back.
My LeBron-itis acted up, ladies and gentlemen. I was really hurt. I couldn't be with my adoring public because, this was a very private moment for me. I'm working, with a grief counselor.
Not a grief counselor.
We in the Lakin Nation, talk to your purple and gold friends. Make sure they're
Not
okay.
A grief counselor.
Yeah.
Man, it never surprises me, even with what we have in this day and age of streaming, that you still do ads. And I know there's some people out there who's like, well, you can get the most premium version of the streamer. No, I shouldn't have to do that. I'm just like, it's unnecessary. All right, so yeah, they're just going through the recap right now of what transpired. Of course, the major event of Jace's demise.
Also, I want to say from the last episode, Black people swimming on that House of Dragons. So, it's not the world that we live in because Black people be swimming. Watch out.
But I will also say, I'll give a shout out to, you kind of take it for granted, especially when we're talking about the world of Game of Thrones, of having persons of color. Speaking of that, having the Valyrians and having, all of these characters. Very rarely do we, see a lot of these characters assembled together, and, to be able to see all these, Valyrians and being Valyrians that are persons of color, that's awesome to see, especially when we're talking about Game of Thrones. So. All right, so here we go. We get into the episode now. And if you guys are joining us, let us know, where you are watching the show from. So Damon into the Dragon Seas with him in tow.
You ever wanted to have a suit of armor?
I mean, of course, like in if we're talking in modern context, but give me 1 second. So I'm gonna hear what Damon is saying here. Uh, so my guess is that they're gonna have to take out Darren here, but I know it's been talked about. I'm pretty sure this is not Darren. So very interesting. You know, this is episode. Normally, when we're talking about Game of Thrones, they have a tendency to hop right into their intro, but had a different order this time. They did a cold open and then went into their intro. So for those of you that are watching, you know, let me know, you know, what you think about that. Do you feel like we should have more cold opens and before we get into the intro, like you see with, you know, many other shows, or do you prefer having the intro first before having the what is it, the start of the episode? If you're joining us now, a couple of minutes in, just got through the intro. Now on Rhaenyra, the aftermath of now being on the throne. He doesn't know because he ain't who they think he is.
What's your time step?
I think you might be just maybe a minute behind me, perhaps. I'm at 12:13. So her getting to the throne, it looks like it's been bittersweet. All these troubles that seem to be befalling, that they've had to have to deal with now that the Greens are not on the throne currently. Which is fascinating because, in one circumstance, Spills, it would make sense that the Greens are what is it, relinquishing the throne and surrendering, but it may actually be brilliant because the kingdom is not in a great place. So if we're talking optics and the politics of it, this actually probably would have been the most brilliant time to relinquish the throne, because now it could be scapegoated to the blacks and kind of leaves them holding the bag, so to speak.
Do you feel you could relinquish a throne like that if you were destined to be someone like the man who sits in the chair? Are you giving that up for somebody?
If we're talking Game of Thrones, then yeah, because I'd rather just be the head of a house versus being on the throne. Because I don't know, man, it don't seem worth it. It always seems to be, you always seem to be looking over your shoulder somehow, like all the time. And I don't know, that gets exhausting after a while. I'd rather just be in one of, the seven kingdoms and be the lord of one of the seven kingdoms versus being on King's Landing. I don't know about you. I'd rather, or not even being, be maybe on maybe I was going to say be on King's Landing and being a part of the royal family, but not really being in line to rule. But I feel like even then you're still in danger because people will try to take out all the potential heirs. So yeah, no, I'd rather be a lord of one of the other seven kingdoms outside of King's Landing.
But that doesn't make you immune to getting like dealt with. Like, let's say your rival was going to be, it's between you and a rival. So you got to take the power. You got to take
Nah,
power when you
man.
have the ability
Nah,
sometimes, man. I think,
I'll be a
you know.
Stark, a Baratheon, or Lannister chilling at home in my respective kingdom. I don't know if I could, be part of the ruling family. I couldn't just continuously keep looking over my shoulder. Maybe y'all feel differently out there. He did. He did do that. It's only fair. It's like you can't kill my father. Most you could do is go back on what you promised about taking out my sons who are heirs.
And that's the other thing. If you don't abdicate, if you abdicate, they might take your children out because your children technically might still have a claim to the throne.
Yeah, but if I'm not on the royal family, if I'm not a part of that, then I can just chill in my respective, part of the various kingdoms. Like, no,
Can't
like
walk
I
away from power like that. You can't abdicate.
but you still have power. I mean, the Lannisters, people rely on the Lannisters because of their wealth and their resources. So like you still have, some sway and some influence. You don't necessarily have to be on the throne as the ruling family to have sway and influence. Oh wow, the ghost of Jace losing it.
And as we check out this, we do this weekly, ladies and gentlemen, not to just be sitting here having a good time. We do talk about the House of Dragon during a live stream. So every Sunday at 9, unless the show's not on, because, they do take times off. We will take times off with the show. We also, just to plug this, we'll be doing a recap of X-Men 92, or it's 91. Yeah,
97, and we already
97. I'm
actually have
sorry.
started. Yeah, we actually have already started on that. So we normally will be having those episodes on Saturdays, but every once in a while we may have them on Fridays just because of the week that it is. We will have some weird weeks like that because we have like Comic-Con coming up and a few other events that may disrupt the normal Saturday schedule. So but yeah, we normally have those on Saturday. So be on the lookout on our social media for those. So right now, like we're in this moment with, and I'm guessing you're in this moment too, Spills, of Rhaenyra trying to establish uh, doing her coronation, but it looks like they're not going to be able to execute one.
I feel like again, when you have these kind of problems, me being a Machiavellian, I would take over another country so we could pay for that. Seeing how governments be moving, that's how I would move. I'd be like, all right, well, we gotta find some money somewhere. Let's take these battles money. You look like you sweet. You don't got no dragons. Come off that paper, baby. Come
Well,
off it.
let
I
me
gotta
ask
put
you
a hat
this.
on my head.
Let me ask you this because I think we probably could have avoided what may potentially come down the line because of inactiveness. Would you have destroyed Hightower and the rest of his army when you had Damon and the dragon seeds there? Would you have taken out the whole army, or would you also let them live like Rhaenyra did?
Um, See, that's the thing about armies. They eventually got to go do some army stuff. They don't just be armies just to practice. They be armies to get people. So, I feel like, in that power consolidation,
What's up,
you
Big Lad?
know, he said, what about the World Cup? What happened?
What's up, England?
World Cup. Hey, you can't turn that off. That's live action, man. You cannot. They don't even stop it for commercials, ladies and gentlemen. But I would probably have destroyed that army because,
I can understand that because now you would have bypassed the whole is he or isn't he an actual real
you gotta act like a
Targaryen?
king. You gotta act like a king if you're gonna be the king. If you're supposed to be the big guy, you're supposed to act like the big guy. I need you to dunk the ball, son. I don't need no finger roll. I don't need no. I don't need that. I need you to get to the line.
I
They
hear
have to
you.
know that they're not gonna be able to stop you. And that way,
Yeah,
you see, they don't got no money. You know, you lose money like that. People be stealing from you when they think that you soft.
but look, like they could have gotten rid of a dragon. They could have gotten rid of a potential dragon that would have been a threat to them, and they would have they wouldn't have had to worry whether or not they had a Targaryen hostage or not. So I mean, it's unfortunate. It again, it comes with being of being the ruling family. You end up doing a lot of things that you may not have a stomach for, but would you rather be again looking over your shoulder or not looking over your shoulder?
You're
So
going to have to look over your shoulder. You can't not look over your shoulder. That's the thing I think that you're forgetting. Even if you don't take the power or you don't make the move to get rid of the army, eventually you're going to have to deal with them. You can't like
you will maybe
put
down the
that
line.
into
I
the
give you
motion.
that. I give you that. Maybe down the line, years from now. But at least if it's years from now, you've prepped enough to be able to deal with it versus having a snake in your midst that can still potentially take you out. So I don't know. I don't know if Rhaenyra, as extreme as Damon is. Don't get me wrong, and I feel like he's very much the devil on her shoulder. Uh, I do agree with Damon that they should have gotten rid of the army there.
Yep. And you got to pay that army. That's the other thing. That's another reason why they don't got no money because they don't be faxing newspapers over anywhere. Armies don't do jobs other than army stuff. You gotta pay them.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
but
they'll use their army on you.
well, I would say more than that. I would say you have your person in charge of whispers that knows the ins and outs of what's going on within the kingdom. I feel like they missed an opportunity. I understand that they were in the middle of a war, but there should have been a better effort to kind of understand the current climate of the kingdom so that way they had a better idea of what they were getting themselves into versus, and I know that's easier said than done when you're in the middle of a war to also have that going on too, but I still feel like they should have done their homework of understanding what the climate is in the kingdom right now and what issues they would be walking into. If you are joining us once again, welcome. Hopefully, you're watching and caught up, time stamped with us. Uh, about what about 27 minutes in. So yeah, let us know where you're watching from. And this for season 3, episode 3 of House of the Dragon.
That would be a bold gesture, Grace. One that would have offended your royal thought. Discussion form other than this. And the next petition comes.
So like I said, this is kind of brilliant. I don't know in terms of the greens. I mean, Allison is playing innocent, and I get that you also have the threat of all the dragons that Rhaenyra has, but at the same time, this actually is the perfect time to be able to surrender because it allows her just to hand her all the issues that the kingdom is going through right now, which Rhaenyra is now getting a taste of. Heavy is the crown, as they say.
Targaryen. to the hammer. Oh, the what?
And Adam the what? Okay. That was a slight though, because I mean, the last episode he was accepted as Valerian, so it's kind of messed up that she's still addressing Adam as Hulk.
Fast. Charlie. Is that it? Sir? Sir. Nice. Will you You're great. I was wondering. Yes. I promise you will do what? She's gone. Oh, I guess it's just fine. So it's just some there's nothing for. And when I have the rest. As soon as I have this present. More please don't sleep. I am a watch. I don't know this. And I really to.
So yeah, we're just seeing more and more chipping away at Vernier and the various challenges and things that she has to contend with now being queen. And I'm guessing Allison now is coming to see her just to say, "I told you so." It wasn't, being queen is not always cracked up to be.
Heavy weighs the crown. But that's why you gotta just use your dragons on people, man.
That's why you shouldn't be a ruling party, the ruling family in Game of Thrones, y'all. That's what that
Now I'm
means.
saying, I feel like dragons be solving the problems. They be like, "Oh, I'm so worried about something." Blah, blah, blah. Then they bring the dragons out, and all the problems somehow get solved. It's kind of like if you meet somebody in that parking lot after the nightclub. They go to the trunk. You like, "All right, man, you got it. I don't actually want to fight no more. Like, you got it. Actually, you right,
Well,
sir."
Well, here you go. If we're going by that basis of being able to have a dragon, then I would say the best of both worlds without having to really look over your shoulder, but still having the ability to bond with the dragon, then I would say being Valerian is your best bet. But you don't necessarily have to be the ruling family on King's Landing. But as long as you're Valerian and you're, the heir, the Valerian heir, then I think that that's the best way to go. You still are a part of a important, influential house because outside of the Targaryens, they're another house that can actually command dragons. But also, if you're not a part of the ruling house, you can still kind of have your cake and eat it too, and still have your own lands. So, but maybe you guys feel differently. You can let us know in the comments.
Your heart will record from what it takes. I acknowledge the struggle, but I see that I don't have that other person. No problem. You know, you will. You have heard assumptions throughout the year. Already in high towers. Likewise, as was true, their words. Later than I would like, but I come before you as sleep.
It is our privilege, Lords, to attend you here. To us, which you all here, I mistrusted you from the beginning.
So that's true. Even if I have been telling you guys activities. I see our faces.
Yeah, people not impressed with the food. Oh my gosh.
This is what we call it my city. This works while you and those like these provisions away in your schools.
Oh,
You have had a staff and our families with us. I would have no ones. I would have those much exercise to do and tend to and shepherd tends to the sheep.
All of them, rats who run the city, fight very corrupt.
And would you not do the same with your children? Like genteel in your grave. As you sit here, my old clothes are entering each your house. They are searching your storage, hoarded away. They will bring what they find back to me for distribution to those in my city.
This is a constant.
We're being robbed. What the crown demands of you is not to plunder the city. And tonight will serve as a lesson in what I will require of you. Now and henceforth.
so while it is admirable what she's doing of alienating herself, or to say getting back at those that are all these houses that are hoarding, all of these resources. I also, if we're talking politics here, I don't know if it's the best idea to alienate herself or antagonize these, folks that are a part of these various houses. It is a very fine balance to be able to to work with the small folk, but also work within the courts that you have within, the royal family. But yeah, I don't, why, like I said, while I see that this choice here is admirable, I feel like it's going to come back to haunt her.
Will help a certain level of good for a certain number of weeks and nothing for the rest. It's a suggestion.
And just as well. But to write the description. So that one is flat. Which is the enjoyments and sorts.
This is an arid land of rubbish.
Rather than have some
I'm so far.
if I fail to administer my city, how will I be trusted to govern the world?
You know, six. It is a power beyond imagine. What's happened with gold and the world before its dawn could be ours. And then essence and free cities, eating and its riches. They say there is a city at the edge of the mountain that operates.
I remember she said that. See what I said.
But there also
Stars communicates along with sacrifice.
So again, being the devil on Rhaenyra's shoulder, you know, Damon suggesting going after all these various kingdoms. Would you do it, Spills, or you think that her having restraint is the right decision?
No, man, you gotta. I would go after him. I think that,
You will clean house.
unfortunately, I mean that's what happens in organizations when a new
Because he
person
said
take
they, and he
over.
said they had 6 dragons. I'm like, and you said that. I mean, is that's like unheard of to have that much influence. But just because you have it, you know, as a a well-known Marvel superhero has the catchphrase of "with great power comes great responsibility."
That's right. The great responsibility is to get them people in line. You ain't gonna be eating for free on my dime.
Hey
I got
yo,
6 dragons. You better kick up.
hey yo.
I don't care how you felt about that last guy that was doing this job. I'm doing the job now. Matter of fact, y'all gotta go. Low key, that's what happened to LeBron. They got a new owner last year. They got rid of LeBron this year. LeBron was like, I want $700 million. They said, LeBron, get out of here. We don't want to see you get $700 million. You take a minimum exception as an old man, or you get out of here. And he got out of here.
And she's now actually pondering taking out this supposed Targaryen, but again, had she just taken out the army, we wouldn't even be in this predicament of her thinking, is he or isn't he, or us believing if he is or isn't.
You're tired today. I'm sleeping in bed. And you're not first. You're very strict. I feel like it's nothing. Well, there's like some friends. All the owners will have some social.
So she made herself a hero with the small folk, but again, they're cheering her on. I don't know how she's now going to fix being able to not alienate or antagonize her recently antagonizing uh the highborn folks. It is a balance there that you have to strike as a ruler.
You do, but remember, them people that are sitting in them seats and the high people, there's people behind them that want to sit in them seats just like people want to sit in your seat. So sometimes you gotta make deals with the people who want to sit in the seat to get the people that's in the seat out of the seat so that you can have control over what they're doing. So I think that you have to figure out how to empower the people that you need to keep that money flowing. And sometimes you gotta burn people up with dragons. That's what I like to think.
And yes, you're asking, is the show any good? Yes, it is. I've thus far I've enjoyed the season quite a bit. I know a lot of people have had issues with how the prior season kind of ended, and there's reasons for that. That you're welcome to look up because it was shortened by 2 episodes, but here we are. But I feel like the first season are always difficult. They had to cover a lot of ground, especially in terms of the timeline of skipping forward in time. But now with this third season, I feel like they found their footing.
Or he made Acton nice, but it seems to start in Tom rather than Valari. We had agreed, I thought, that he had
Yeah, don't mention it.
it is a Latin ceremony.
And also, you are welcome to, we will be doing the show weekly. So, you're welcome to synchronize, watching the show with us and let us know, where you're, watching from and how you're enjoying the episode.
My castle lies in ashes, and I have asked no favor in return for this. You know very well.
Spill stepped away just for a moment. He'll be joining us back momentarily. But yeah, in the meantime, yeah, just are you watching episode 3 and how are you enjoying it thus far?
So that you may see perhaps thought you might fix the bone shelters.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
All good.
One day.
Your shame.
So like I said, I knew that was gonna come back. That slight of not acknowledging William as Valerian, is now coming back now that Corliss is calling her out on it. Especially considering that, she herself had situations like that with her children that he acknowledged.
This is one. It was delivered to 2 days ago. It's not returned, which your cousins. We have no part of this. We did only what was expected. Therefore, I was to he will take the back and put it, but he will keep his life. Do you understand? See you for next. You should breathe. Walk. This is war with an influence of 2 months in the last 5 years. I haven't made it work yet. From all accounts, he was not very good.
And see, that's another thing. You were talking about, you would rather be in the ruling body, but look at the situation that you have now with Allison and Rhaenyra, where you have these circumstances where, parents don't even know their own kids because they've sent them away to protect them. So like they've never really been able to have the bond with their kids because it's better to send them away and protect them versus actually having them in their vicinity and potentially being taken out.
Well, who do you say the GOAT is, Brandon?
Mr. MJ.
Michael Jordan. And what did Michael Jordan famously say? Okay, that's all I got to say about that little soliloquy you had. Forget about them kids. I don't care about them kids. Them people need to send their kids
Yeah,
around me.
that was
I'm
the
a
PG
dangerous world
version.
leader.
That was
That's right.
that was the PG version, but yeah,
That's right.
no,
I
I
fly
still
dragons. your kids can get ate up even if they in a little tower somewhere.
Like I said, Valerian is the way to go. You can still have your cake and eat it too. You can be a
Ain't
dragon
no.
rider, but not have to be the ruling family.
To me, that means you are expendable. They can
Nah,
get
it
you out of
means
there.
that
They
you
getting people,
are useful. Cause like, who can say that they can bond with dragons? There's very few and far in between.
but that dragon can still get eaten. I seen on the first season, one dragon got ate in one bite. Bah! They just ate the dragon. So
That's a
that sounds
big
cool.
but oh hold up. It looks like they're Yep, it's been revealed. Decoy. Uh-uh. So this could have all been avoided had she just taken out that army.
See what I'm saying? You don't leave enemies out there. If there's an army out there, that's what the United States made. We have trouble with it sometimes. Obviously there's certain
I'm
groups
not
that we
gonna
empower. And
dive
that
into that, man.
we talking geopolitics. We not talking about the actual like truth of it. But they be leaving people out there, and whenever they leave somebody out there, they come back to get us. You can't just leave people out there. Either you deal with the army now. Like when you see the army, you got to deal with them because that's just how it is in human nature. If you see an army and you have the power to get rid of that army, get rid of it, and then don't even have no fuss about it. But hey, man, them people looking at me, you got to stand your ground.
Again, and I go back to this. We was talking about would you rather be the ruling party or not be the ruling party? I'd rather just not be the ruling party, man, because as Allison has shared, you may not recognize yourself by the end of it in terms of what's necessary, or I put in quotation marks, what is necessary in order to keep your rule secure. All right, so that is episode 3 of season 3 of House of the Dragon. Now knowing that the Targaryen that was sent was a decoy, and now also that Hightower, Ormond Hightower, has a place hostage, and trying to get an idea of what his intentions are. So going into episode 4 for next week. So make sure you join us. Spills, what are your thoughts on the episode? What what have you enjoyed? What things did you enjoy, and just overall impressions.
I like courtly dramas. I do understand that, you got to have the parts moving to make it interesting. That was cool to me. I think that not enough people were burnt up by dragons this episode. There was no dragon burning ups. I was hoping for more dragons burning people up because that's what I would be doing. I would just pick people at random, just like Thanos, and be like, all right, today's the day you get burned up by a dragon. Everybody got to listen to me.
Wow. Wow. Be
They wouldn't have played with me and
tyrannical.
sent the wrong person if they knew I would just burn them up. And that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to just let them know, hey, I'm not malevolent. I'm not a malevolent dictator or ruler. I am very strict. And
So
I'll
you be
pop it on play
tyrannical,
then.
man.
I will
Yeah, I
be
don't know if I
tyrannical for
do that.
sure. You don't get 6 dragons and not be tyrannical. That's not
I
what you
don't
get
know
them
about
for.
that, bro.
That's like if I bought a Lamborghini. You gonna see me getting speeding tickets all the time. And I'm gonna be driving that joint too fast because that's what I bought it for, to drive it too fast. I didn't get these dragons for them to just be in my courtyard eating up all my steak.
Yeah, I
You
don't
gotta
know
eat some
about that,
people,
bro.
man. Burn them up. Burn them up.
So there you guys go. You have Spillman. If he had his way, he would be a tyrannical. What is it? Targaryen. He would be the Mad King, basically.
That wouldn't be mad.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
be mad. I would just be like, y'all know what the rules are. And they'd be like, you broke the rules, man. The game is the game. That's what they say.
And like I said, if it were myself, I would be Valerian versus being, a part of the ruling party. I still want to be able to have the ability to command dragons, to bond with dragons, but at least, again, I can steer clear of all the ins and outs and only step in if I need to versus having to constantly 24/7 and not only deal with the ins and outs of the kingdom, which, Rhaenyra has found herself in predicament wise in terms of the issues with the common folk as well as the highborn folks of the issues that I mean, and there's always going to be issues. Don't get me wrong. There's always going to be issues between the common folk and those with resources, but at the same time, why have to deal with that if you don't have to? But if you are thrust into that position, then perhaps there may be some occasions, just like Allison said, that you're going to find yourself in predicaments where you're going to have to make really tough decisions that impact a lot of people. And I mean, that's also the it's an unfortunate thing of being a ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. So, and like we said, many times over this stream, talking about this episode, heavy is the crown, right? So,
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, but you point that dragon at somebody and burn them up. You'd be like, get them, burn them up. That's what the king used to say, off with his head. You seen Magic Johnson, I mean Eddie Murphy at the beginning of Remember the Time? He was saying, everybody, you make bad jokes, off with his head. But then Michael Jackson turned into sand, and you can't kill sand. Sand is unkillable. It's just sand.
hey,
So,
hey, hey. But
you know.
that's going to do it for us here at the Targaryen Collective Codex. This live watch of House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 3. Spills, I'm going to punt it over to you. Can you tell folks where they can find you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, you can find me on Truly Spill on Instagram.com. We can talk about who you would burn up if you was the king of the Westeros. If you want to burn somebody up, you would tell me who you would like to burn up. That could be a different topic for a different day. We'll have a list that we go down. Back to you, Brandon.
Fair enough. You can find me. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, also co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on X, and then Brandon Choi, which you see down below, _ ENT on Instagram. And in considering everything that we talked about today, let me know, like, where do you guys stand? Would you be the ruling House Targaryen, or would you agree, second, what I'm talking about, of being one of the other houses and being able just to rule over your certain section of the kingdom? So just let me know. I feel like I'm a little preferable for the latter rather than the former, but be that as it may, we will be here next week and talking about episode 4. Also, Saturday we'll be talking episode 4 of X-Men, because as you well know, X-Men dropped 3 episodes to kind of kick off this second season. So we are well into it in terms of talking about what we have with the goings on with the children of the atom, if you will. But Spills will also be joining us next week to be able to do This Week in Pop Culture. And I mean, I'm trying to think if we have anything else going. Like I said, we do have San Diego Comic-Con in the near future coming up. So be on the lookout for that, as there will be some exclusives in that regard. But yeah, this is going to do it for Spills and I here at, like I said, the Targaryen Collective Codex, House of the Dragon live watch. And we will see you guys next week. Later.
Peace.